From homeless black man to milionario, the untold story that even Elon Musk and Donald Trump know. Ethan Miles stood under the glare of 1,000 cameras, his sleek suit smeared with rain, his heart pounding like thunder in his chest. The crowd around him buzzed with electric anticipation. Inside the shimmering glass walls of his Silicon Valley headquarters, a fortress of innovation that seemed to float above the city's restless hum. He was the man everyone admired, the tech mogul whose ideas changed the world overnight. But tonight, something raw and human shook through his confident mask. Just hours earlier, as Ethan unveiled his newest invention, a device promised to shift the very fabric of technology, his voice cracked. A slip. Our secret facility, right there in Redwood Heights, he blurted, the words tumbling out before his mind could catch up. A hush fell over the room. Eyes wide, whispers igniting like wildfire. Redwood Heights was off the grid, guarded by layers of security. No one had ever seen his face clearly. His voice was a low growl over encrypted calls. What was known? He was a wealthy investor, yes. But behind the polished suit lay scars. Scars etched deep by years of watching his community crumble under the weight of progress they never asked for. Factories closed, jobs vanished, victims of innovations that promised more but delivered less. And Ethan Miles, the name on every heartbreaking headline. The media was wild, spinning threads of conspiracy, battle, and secrets neither man was ready to face. The enigma sent open challenges, flickers of menace wrapped in politeness. The public couldn't look away. Ethan's nights grew longer, the loneliness clutching tighter, his hands trembling each time a phone buzzed. He saw it in himself, a fragmented man, pulled between ruthless ambition and a hollow ache inside. Behind the headlines, behind the cameras flashing like lightning in storm clouds, a war simmered. Ethan's heart beat faster when he thought about the enigma. Not just a rival, but a mirror reflecting the cost of his empire. The enigma wrestled with a secret, one so heavy it threatened to undo everything he fought for. But just as tension spiraled out of control, a new, darker force whispered from the shadows. A message arrived. No sender's name. No explanation. Just a chilling warning scribbled across a digital screen that lit up both men's offices at the exact same moment. Your war blinds you. There's something coming that neither can face alone. Both froze. Outside, rain slapped the glass again, as if the sky itself held its breath. What was this new threat? And could two enemies ever trust each other enough to stand together? The answer lingered in the uneasy silence that filled the room. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The message lingered in the air like a fog, heavy and unsettling. Ethan and the enigma exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of trepidation and understanding. The crowded room buzzed with unanswered questions as the world hovered on the brink of chaos. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A thunderous crash echoed, shaking the very foundation of the building. Panic surged through the crowd. Glass shattered. People screamed. Ethan's heart raced. A knot tightened in his chest. What was happening? Then came the unmistakable sound of sirens piercing the chaos, a reminder that the outside world was closing in. He moved toward the chaos, dread clawing at his insides. Each step felt heavy. The Enigma's voice cut through the noise. "It's over for you. They're coming for you." The words slid like ice down Ethan's spine. Just then, a faint cry rang out. A voice he recognized. "Ethan, help!" It was his sister, Maya, lost to the shadows of his past long ago. A name hidden beneath the success he fought so hard to build. The crowd parted, revealing her standing by the jagged ruins of what once was a beautiful glass wall. "Maya?" The word escaped his lips like a gasp. His heart dropped. She was supposed to be safe, far away from the chaos of his world. "What are you doing here?" She looked different, haunted, weariness in her eyes he hadn't seen before. "I need to tell you the truth before it's too late." Ethan took a step back, confusion swirling. Truth? What truth could she possibly bring now, when everything around him was already falling apart? But before she could speak, the Enigma stepped forward, a fire of intensity burning in his gaze. "Get away from her, Ethan!" "Why?" Ethan demanded. "She's my sister." "That's exactly why." The Enigma's voice dropped to a low growl, but the urgency was clear. "They know your connection. They're coming for both of you." Maya winced, and Ethan's breath caught. This wasn't just chaos. It was danger. "We have to go," Maya pleaded, eyes wide with panic. "They know about the facility, about everything." A flicker of doubt danced in Ethan's mind. Everything he had built was now at risk. "What do you mean?" And then, just as the sirens grew louder, the lights dimmed. An explosion of sound shocked through the building, rattling the very walls. People screamed louder, and the crowd surged, pushing towards the exits. But Ethan's world shrunk to the two people before him. His sister, lost and broken, and the Enigma, who seemed to hold the keys to secrets that threatened everything. The air thickened. "You have to trust me," the Enigma said abruptly, eyes darting. "She's not just your sister. She's the key." Key to what? Ethan's mind raced. Was everything he believed crumbling around him? Before the Enigma could answer, the power cut out. Darkness enveloped them. A single voice pierced through, chilling and smooth like silk. "Ethan Miles, you're out of time." A collective silence blanketed the room as a final sound crackled through. A countdown. 10, 9. Ethan felt the ground beneath him slip away. What were they counting down to? The shadows danced around him, closing in. 8, 7. Questions flooded his thoughts like waves crashing on the shore. Why was Maya here? What secrets lay buried in their past? The countdown echoed, each heartbeat intertwining with the dwindling seconds. 6, 5. Could he trust the Enigma? 4. Time was running out. 3. Why hadn't he seen the truth? 2. Neither of them could face this alone. 1. The world could change forever in an instant. Outside, the rain intensified. A frenzied percussion against the windows, mirroring the chaotic rhythm of Ethan's heart. He felt it in that moment. The weight of the warning hung like fog in the air. But before he could process what it meant, the unthinkable happened. The lights flickered. Then, silence. The buzz of the crowd outside faded into an eerie hush, like a blanket thrown over chaos. Ethan and the Enigma exchanged glances, confusion morphing into unease. The infernal storm outside pounded harder against the glass, as if trying to break through. And in that unsettling stillness, the screens around them flickered back to life, an alert flashing across every device in their offices. Breaking news: security breach at Redwood Heights. Ethan's chest tightened. His mind raced, caught between horror and disbelief. What the hell? One of the screens exploded into static, then shifted to a grainy black and white image. The familiar outline of the Redwood Heights facility emerged, suddenly juxtaposed with a figure, a blurry silhouette hastily making its way inside. A wave of chill washed, but then another blow. The dark figure reached the entrance, and for the briefest moment, the camera managed to catch a glimpse of their face. Ethan froze. It was a visage he recognized. A spark lit in his mind, igniting a flood of memory. Someone he thought he'd buried deep in his past. Mia, his sister. The name sliced through his confusion, sharp as a blade. The world spun around him as his breath quickened. How could it be? It had been years since she vanished into the cracks of the city, swallowed whole by the streets he had left behind. Ethan blinked, searching for clarity, but the image replayed, burned into his mind. A reminder of everything he had fought to escape. Ethan? The Enigma's voice broke the silence, laced with urgency. You know her? Yes. No, I don't. I thought she was gone. Panic spilled over into Ethan's voice as he struggled to maintain composure. What did this mean? The truth began to claw its way into his consciousness, threatening to unravel everything he had built. Your sister. Why is she at the facility? What does she want? The Enigma's calm facade cracked, revealing an inkling of concern. I don't know. I have to. Ethan's instinct kicked in, but he hesitated. The weight of his ambitions clashed against the chaotic reality, growing more complex by the second. Your war blinds you. There's something coming that neither can face alone. Those words pulsed in his mind now, echoing like a drum. This was bigger than him, bigger than the Enigma. Just then, the screens flickered again, but this time the image distorted, revealing several figures, a group of protesters huddled nearby, faces obscured by masks. They carried signs, voices loud in the silence, chanting against the giants of Silicon Valley. The fear and anger in their eyes sent a shiver down Ethan's spine. A truth he had avoided for too long hit him in waves. He had built his empire on the bones of his community. Mia had suffered while he thrived. Turn it off, he shouted, but the Enigma was already typing furiously, trying to regain control, trying to piece together a plan. Outside, the night air crackled with tension. A storm brewing, both inside and outside the glass fortress. And at that moment, the phone buzzed violently in Ethan's pocket. He pulled it out, seeing an unknown number calling. He answered. "Who is this?" His voice trembled, fear gripping his throat. "Ethan," a familiar voice broke through, cool and distant, yet tinged with something deeper, a long, buried anger. "You need to listen. It's time to choose sides." The rebellion was here, and everything he'd worked for hung in the balance. The room spun again, and Ethan's world changed forever. Ethan's heart raced in his chest. The voice on the line was familiar, yet distant, laced with years of unresolved pain. "Listen carefully," the voice urged. "You've been misled. Mia isn't just in the facility. She's working with them." The world tilted. Ethan's thoughts whirled, grappling with disbelief. "With who? What do you mean?" Panic clawed in his throat, tightening with each moment. "The same people you've angered, the ones who threaten everything you've built." The voice continued, unwavering. "Mia isn't the innocent sister you remember. She's part of the very organization that's tearing your community apart. The machine behind the curtain." His breath hitched. Could it be? All those years he thought he was saving the family, building a future, and now he learned he may have been the very reason for her involvement? No, it can't be true. They've manipulated her, just like they've manipulated you. The tone sharpened, snapping him back to the chaos around him. Outside, the crowd murmured, a restless tide matching his rising dread. The screens flickered again, drawing attention back to the chaos as urgency spun around him. "Ethan, you have to decide. You can't waste time. They're close." "Who's close?" he barked, desperate for answers that hung just out of reach. But suddenly, the line went dead. His pulse thundered in his ears. What had just happened? He turned back to the enigma. "She's working with them, and they know." The enigma met his eyes, alarm surfacing through his well-crafted exterior. "You didn't tell me about Mia's ties. If that's true, everything changes." "It can't be." Ethan's hands trembled. "She's been gone. She wouldn't." But doubt crept in, heavy as stone. All the while, an unexpected throat-clearing sound cut through his racing thoughts. A sharp, low laugh that carried malice. The source emerged from the shadows. A tall figure, tall and straight, dressed in black. An unyielding presence filled the space, illuminating a smile that didn't match the gravity of the moment. "Oh, Ethan, you were always so naive." Recognition hit him like a punch. "No, it can't be. You thought you could escape the past?" Mia stepped forward from the shadows, confidence radiating off her. Her eyes, once filled with warmth, now flickered with a cold intensity. "You left us. You thought you could build a better life without me." His world tilted on its axis. "Mia, what are you doing here?" The question slipped out, thick with disbelief. She tilted her head, her cool gaze piercing through him. "Funny, I thought I'd ask you the same question." Her smile faded as her voice grew steely. "I didn't come to save you, Ethan. I came to finish what you started." Silence. For a heartbeat, time hung. His sister, once his anchor, stood before him. A storm about to break. "Finish what?" the enigma demanded, stepping in front of Ethan, defiance in his posture. Mia chuckled darkly, relishing the turmoil swirling around them. "You think I didn't see your empire rise? I've watched you betray our roots, recruit broken souls just to advance yourself. But it's your turn now." She gestured vaguely, as if the walls themselves would come crashing down around them. Ethan felt the walls closing in, suffocated by the web of realities he thought he understood. "You're with them?" Rage surged, but confusion twisted it into something darker. "You betrayed us!" "Yes," she replied casually. "And now that you know I'm not just a victim, you'll have to choose. Fight against me and collapse, or join me. There's no other way." The countdown echoed in the back of his mind like a malevolent whisper, taunting everything he believed. "No," he choked out, disbelief spiraling further. "You can't mean—" But before he could voice his thoughts, her expression shifted. "They'll come for you, Ethan. They'll come for both of us. And you might just find that the real enemy is sitting beside you. Can you trust anyone at all?" The air thickened, dread blanketed him. "What do you want?" His voice trembled, but he steeled himself, facing her, searching for answers. Mia smirked, a flash of steel, revealing just a glimpse of vulnerability. "Survival is key, brother. And you've been playing the game blindly. Time's running out." And in that instant, their fates intertwined, the storm outside raging in furious harmony with the turmoil inside. What was this fractured history? What ties could bind him to the sister standing before him as a shadow? As panic enveloped him, it dawned on him. The chaos had only just begun. The tension hung thick in the air. Ethan and the Enigma stood frozen, eyes locked on their screens. The warning glowed ominously, a reminder that they were not as alone as they thought. The rain outside kept pounding, mocking their fear. They were competitors, each playing a game the other didn't fully understand. But now, something darker was looming. Something that could swallow them both whole. A sudden buzz jolted Ethan from his thoughts. His phone, vibrating violently, illuminated the room in a harsh blue light. He glanced at it, expecting another taunt from the Enigma, but was met instead with a name that sliced through the tension like a knife. Juliet. His heart dropped. Juliet was his sister, lost in the chaos of his rise to fame. The last time they'd spoken was a fight over his startup, their home, and everything that had gone wrong. Her face appeared on the screen, eyes wide and desperate. He answered instinctively. "Ethan, you need to listen." Her voice was a frantic rush. The world outside him faded. I don't have much time. They're coming for you." "What are you—" "Not now. Just trust me. There's a group. They've been watching you. They're angry. They blame you for everything that happened in our neighborhood. They're planning something big. Something you can't stop alone." Panic gripped him. "What? Who?" "Juliet, slow down." But she didn't. "You're too focused on the tech crowd, the investors. But you need to understand. They're not just angry. They feel abandoned. And the Enigma? He's at the center of it all. You think he's your enemy, but he knows what's coming. You need each other, Ethan." The line cut off abruptly. Silence screamed in his ears as he processed her words. The Enigma stood across the room, brows furrowed, tension whippling through him. Was he a pawn in someone else's game? Ethan's mind raced. He opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed outside. They both jumped. A crowd of chanting protesters surged against the glass. Faces twisted with anger. Signs waved, words of blame and outrage. "We won't be silent!" Echoed through the night. It was chaos, a violent storm of fury aimed directly at him. Ethan's heart raced. He stood there, feeling exposed, vulnerable. Had he created this, unknowingly? An empire built on the backs of those he forgot? He felt the Enigma's eyes searching him, a flicker of understanding passing between them. Before he could react, another message popped up on his screen. Together or not at all. The walls began to tremble, a distant roar mixed with the crowd's cries. A wave of realization washed over Ethan. Could he really trust the Enigma? Did he even want to try? And then... the lights went out. Darkness enveloped the room. Panic ignited sparks of confusion. The rain outside drummed like 1,000 unsteady hearts. Ethan's pulse quickened. They were running out of time. "Ethan!" The Enigma's voice boomed above the chaos. "We need to decide right now." The silence stretched. Each heartbeat felt like thunder. What were they up against? And could they truly rely on each other? The urgency clawed at him. He turned to the Enigma, breath held tight. "We need to talk now." But even as he spoke, doubt twisted like a knife in his gut. Could he trust his enemy? Or was he sealing their fates together in a dangerous pact? The darkness thickened. The crowd roared, and they stood on the precipice of a storm neither could control. The silence hung thick, like the pause before a storm. Ethan and the Enigma stared at their screens, breaths held in tandem. What did this warning mean? What was the danger looming over them? Just then, a loud crash reverberated through the building, shattering the tense moment. The glass walls trembled as the sound echoed. A figure slammed against the door. Desperation stamped across their face. The crowd outside pressed closer, drawn to the chaos. Ethan exchanged a worried glance with the Enigma. Neither knew what to expect next. Suddenly, the door flew open, and a woman barreled in, wild-eyed and soaked from the rain. She gasped for breath, her chest heaving. "Ethan, you need to listen to me!" The crowd outside surged, a wave of gasps and whispers crashing over the onlookers. "What's happening?" Ethan shouted, urgency creeping into his voice. The woman, who Ethan recognized as Mary, a social activist from his past, stumbled forward. "They're coming after you, after both of you. You can't trust anyone." Both men froze, disbelief washing over them. This was the last person they expected to see, especially in this moment. Automated alarms wailed in the background, filling the air with a sense of impending calamity. "Who?" The Enigma's voice finally broke through. "Who's coming?" Mary's gaze darted around the room. "The investors, your biggest backers. They're not who you think they are. They want you out. They made a deal with the Enigma, with those like him." Her words sent shockwaves through Ethan. Panic gripped him. He felt something cold and heavy slip into the pit of his stomach. The Enigma's eyes narrowed, a fire igniting within them. What do you mean? Mary took a step closer, her voice trembling but firm. They're manufacturing a crisis, a scapegoat. It's bigger than the two of you. They plan to wipe everything out, whoever they see as a threat. Threat? Ethan echoed, confusion twisting like a knife in his chest. What the hell are you talking about? Look at your phones, she shouted. Ethan glanced down at the screen, where a breaking news alert flashed. Tech mogul allegedly using community resources for personal gain. It was a twist that felt like a punch to the gut, a betrayal by the very people lighting up his world. No, he whispered, the revelation hitting him like a freight train. That can't be. Ethan, listen to her, the Enigma urged, tension coiling tighter. We're at war, but not against each other. Just then, a massive explosion boomed in the distance, shaking the building to its foundation. The crowd outside let out a collective gasp, a tidal wave of fear rushing through them. Ethan's heart raced. He couldn't focus. What was that? Mary grabbed his arm, her grip severe. You don't understand. They're using you both, and now they're coming for us. Before he could respond, the lights flickered. The screens in his office blinked ominously, then went dark. Panic spread through the crowd like wildfire. The Enigma's expression hardened, eyes narrowing with fierce resolve. Together, he said, voice low but powerful. We're going to take them down. But just as they leaned closer, a blinding white light burst through the windows. It flooded the room, drowning everything in its glare, and in that moment, time felt suspended. Ethan's thoughts spiraled. Who was friend? Who was foe? What had he built, and at what cost? He couldn't breathe. When the light receded, everything felt different. Mary stood at the center, mouth agape, staring at the once silent screen. New images flickered to life. Images of Ethan's past, his childhood, his struggles, each one painfully exposed. The crowd was silent, and eyes darted between the screen and Ethan. A secret, long buried, was clawing its way back into the light. Ethan's chest tightened, facing the truth he never wanted to confront. What else were they hiding? What other secrets lay in wait? The shadows thickened around them, and silence fell heavy once more. Both froze. Outside, rain slapped the glass again, as if the sky itself held its breath. The silence hung, thick, heavy with uncertainty. Ethan's gut churned. Was it a threat? An ultimatum? He had fought tooth and nail for his success, but now, was it all teetering on the edge of chaos? Then, the lights flickered above them. A subtle warning. The hum of the building seemed to dip. And then, like a symphony gone wrong, everything went dark. Panic surged. What the? Ethan gasped as he instinctively reached for his phone, its screen casting an eerie glow in the surrounding pitch. The crowd's murmurs pulsed. Anxiety crackling through the air like a live wire. Suddenly, a blinding flash pierced the darkness. A loud bang followed. It echoed through the hollow chamber of the HQ, sharp and startling. People screamed. Some ducked. Others stumbled back, faces pale and eyes wide. Ethan stood frozen, his heart racing, his breath hitching. What is happening? The Enigma's voice rumbled, dangerously low. Stay calm, Ethan shouted, his voice cutting through the confusion. He pressed himself closer to the enigma, drawing on the strength of proximity, instincts battling against the engulfing fear. And then he saw it. From behind the stage, a figure emerged, tall, cloaked in shadow, their movements fluid, yet heavy. The crowd gasped, collectively backing away. Ethan felt the weight of eyes on him. Who was this? What did they want? The figure lifted their hand, and in an instant, a screen flicked to life behind them. It projected a chaotic scene. Night vision footage of Ethan's private facility in Redwood Heights. His heart stopped. How? Who would dare? Then the voice came, chilling and clear. Ethan Miles, you thought you were untouchable, didn't you? The tone dripped with disdain. But you're not the only one with secrets. It's time the world sees what you've built. The crowd gasped again, a wave of shock rippling through. Faces turned toward Ethan, expressions twisting from confusion to betrayal. What does that mean? Someone shouted. Ethan, what's going on? The enigma's question pierced through the din. But Ethan couldn't respond. His mind raced. Was this some sort of negotiated effort to ruin him? Or had he truly built a world of lies, hovering on the brink of exposure? The footage shifted. Aerial views displayed the facility's perimeter. Then zoomed in on a door marked with a familiar emblem, the insignia of a company that was supposed to be defunct. The audience murmured in disbelief. No! A crash echoed from the back of the gathering. It was security. Charging fuerte, frantico para ganar control del caos. Yet Ethan se quedó transfixo. The looming figure was desvelando cada secretito que había imperido, hinchando a una verdad que no había atrevido a hablar. The enigma was standing near, a revelation threatening the break between them. The enigma's voice rang out like an alarm bell. If they know, we can't afford to waste time. But the figure stepped closer. Enraizada como la juez. The time is irrelevant now. We've only just begun. Ethan trembled. What had he been hiding, and how much longer could he hide it? The barrier between him and the enigma began to waver, their shared fear mixing into an unholy alliance of desperation. The figure leaned in, a ghostly whisper threaded through the fray. You don't know everything about yourself, Ethan, but soon you will. The lights flickered back on, but clarity didn't return. Instead, confusion reigned. Mistrust brewed. The crowd stared in awe and dread, as did Ethan, trapped between his past and a future unraveling at breakneck speed. Nothing was as it seemed, and he had only taken the first step into a storm he couldn't contain. The lights flickered back on, but everything was different now. The tension in the room felt like it could snap at any moment. Ethan's heart raced, beating a frenzied drum in his chest. The figure at the center of attention, Mia, stood like a specter, eyes unyielding. And just as Ethan pieced together the fragments of her accusations, an energy surged, an electric buzz crackling like the very storm outside. Everything you think you know is a lie, Mia shot back, her voice sharp as flint. You built your empire on a foundation of betrayal and ignorance. Her gaze swept over the crowd, igniting whispers that cascaded among the onlookers. Ethan opened his mouth to object, but no words emerged. A heaviness saturated the air. His mind reeled, grappling with the weight of her words. They pierced through the facade he had carefully constructed, left him staggered and vulnerable. Ethan! The enigma stepped forward, voice soaked with urgency. Focus. But the room had grown charged. The crowd grew restless, energy shifting like a wild tide. Before Ethan could respond, the screens behind Mia exploded into life with jagged images. A timeline of chaos, protests, broken homes, desperate faces. The hidden price of his success flashed vividly, unmasking. Gasps rose as the crowd absorbed the truth, eyes darting between Ethan and the enigma. Then came a sickening crash, rattling the foundations of the building. For a heartbeat, no one moved. And then a blinding white light tore through the center of the room, overpowering everything. "No!" Ethan screamed, instinctively shielding himself. As quickly as it had come, the light faded. Silence cloaked the room again, a thick blanket of fear. Slowly, he lowered his hands, heart hammering against his ribs. And there, standing where Mia had been, was a figure cloaked in darkness, an ominous shadow that twisted the fabric of reality itself. The figure shifted, revealing an all-too-familiar face. Juliet, Ethan's sister, the one who had vanished, forgotten in the chaotic rise of his ambitions. No longer just a voice on the phone, she materialized from the shadows, eyes gleaming with a furious light. "Ethan," she said, a smirk tugging at her lips. "You didn't think I'd let you take all the glory, did you?" Ethan's stomach dropped. "Juliet, why are you—" "What do you think?" Juliet's voice echoed, smooth but dripping with venom. "I've been pulling strings from the very beginning. Your success, your failures, they were just pieces in my game." Shocked whispers erupted from the crowd, doubt creeping in like fog. Ethan felt the world tip beneath him. "No, this can't be. It's all true," she continued, her tone unwavering. "You think the past is buried? That you can just walk away from it? I orchestrated all of this. I watched as you rose, all while I kept our family in the dark." A swell of bitterness surged through Ethan. "You've been manipulating us, playing us off each other?" Juliet leaned closer, her smirk widening into a grin. "Exactly, brother. It's all about power. All along, you were just a pawn. I needed you to climb, to take risks, and then I planned to take it all back." Panic rippled through the gathering crowd. Faces turned to Ethan, many now with hostility brewing. "But why? What do you get from tearing apart your own family?" The enigma interjected, voice tinged with disbelief. "Family?" Juliet laughed, a hollow sound that echoed in the stunned silence. "There's no family in this game. Only victories and losses." Ethan felt sick, reeling from the revelation. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound. In a split second, an alarm blared, shrill and unrelenting. Every heart in the room raced as they turned to the screens again. Now, flashing red. Security breach detected. Panic gripped the crowd. Feet shuffled, voices rose in fear. "Now, what?" The enigma's voice broke through the chaos, panic sharpening his words. Juliet's eyes glinted with malice. "What indeed? The people you betrayed are coming for you, Ethan, and you'll have to decide, family or the Empire. The choice is yours." The world spun, leaving Ethan standing on the precipice of ruin, secrets unraveling around him. In that moment, he realized he had underestimated the very people he thought he had left behind. Trust lay shattered at his feet, and as the walls trembled, the storm rolled in. Ethan was no longer just fighting for his legacy, but for his very life. The storm outside raged on, the crowd's anxious murmurs mixing with the booming thunder. Ethan stood frozen, breathless, as Juliet's reveal echoed in the tension-filled air. Betrayal twisted like a knife in his gut. But before he could respond, the chaos erupted once more. Suddenly, without warning, the ground shook violently beneath them. A deafening roar rang out, a sound like ripping metal, followed by a blinding flash of light that swallowed the room whole. Security alarms blared, strobe lights pulsed erratically, and the crowd's initial shock morphed into sheer panic. Faces twisted in horror, desperate eyes darting toward the exits. "Get down!" Ethan shouted, instinctively moving to shield the Enigma and Mary, who stood wide-eyed amid the chaos. Then the shattering came. Glass exploded inward as the wall behind the figure crumbled into a pile of debris. Dust filled the air, coating everything in a thick layer. And through that chaos, a figure emerged from the cloud, cloaked in shadows, but moving with purpose. Ethan squinted to see, heart racing as the dust settled. "What the hell?" The Enigma's voice was low. It was a man, tall, with a distinctive gait, stepping forward into the flickering light. Ethan's heart sank. It was someone he recognized, but thought he'd buried in his past. A ghost he had hoped to forget. "Mark," Ethan breathed, disbelief coursing through him. "What are you doing here?" Mark, his former mentor, now an enigma himself, grinned with a menace that made Ethan's skin crawl. "Did you really think you could just wipe your past clean? You think that success can erase the blood on your hands?" "What blood?" Ethan shouted, confusion mixing with fear. "What do you mean?" Mark stepped closer, the shadows dancing around him. "You're in over your head, Ethan. You've built your empire on the wreckage of your community, your friends, my friends, and now you're about to pay the price. The real game is just beginning." Ethan's mind spun. Chaos ensued as figures rushed toward Mark, eyes wide, adrenaline spurring them to action. Were they supporters? Enemies? He couldn't tell amidst the shouting. "Ethan!" The Enigma's voice cut through the whirlwind. "We need to escape now!" Escape? From what? Ethan's voice trembled, but abruptly, another explosion rocked the building. Smoke billowed from the entryway, engulfing the crowd and stinging Ethan's eyes. "We have to move," Mary shouted, pulling his arm. "They're not just coming for you. They want to burn everything to the ground." But as they turned to flee, a metallic thud echoed through the main hall. A large, automated drone, sleek and menacing, descended from above, its lenses glowing ominously. The crowd screamed, parting like waves as it hovered, surveying the chaos. A smooth, cold voice echoed through the room, amplified from the drone. "Ethan Miles, your time is up. Surrender peacefully, or face the consequences of your actions." The air grew thick with fear, paranoia gripping hold. "Ethan, you need to decide," the Enigma urged, anxiety etched on his face. Now, before he could reply, a sickening realization pierced through Ethan's fog. Juliet stood amidst the crowd, a sly smile playing on her lips. In that frantic moment, he understood. This wasn't just about revenge. She was orchestrating it all. "Juliet!" Ethan's voice rang out, desperate, imploring. "What did you do?" A flicker of betrayal flashed across her expression, morphing into triumph. "I did what you couldn't, big brother. I set the curtain to fall. You just didn't see how far I'd go." The room fell silent, shock piercing through the madness. The drone's camera turned toward her, and as it scanned for threats, it paused, capturing every detail. A bead of sweat rolled down Ethan's temple as realization gripped him. He had trusted the wrong sibling. Trust was never meant to extend in that direction. And he suddenly felt trapped in a web he didn't know he'd woven. "Now you're in it too, Ethan!" she taunted, reveling in his despair. "Everything I've built, it's all coming to light. The world gets to know the truth. You're going to find out what it's like to be the enemy." He opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. The crowd's restless murmurs grew louder, the fear palpable. In that moment, the drone whirred menacingly, and a shudder coursed through Ethan's spine. "Run!" the Enigma yelled, but Ethan stood frozen, haunted by the weight of betrayal, betrayed by blood. And the true face of family was veering into a darkness he'd never anticipated. The storm raged on outside, but now a new tempest brewed within, and the walls of his world began to crumble. Ethan stood frozen, feeling like a deer caught in headlights. The drone hovered menacingly, its red lights piercing through the chaos. Mark grinned, eyes gleaming with malicious satisfaction. The crowd was panicking, voices rising in fear, but Ethan couldn't tear his gaze from Juliet, who reveled in the unfolding chaos. The weight of betrayal pressed down on him. Memories flashed through his mind. Happy childhood moments turned distorted by Juliet's wicked grin. He wanted to scream, but the truth was a relentless wave crashing over him. "Ethan!" the Enigma shouted, snapping him from his thoughts. "We have to get out, now!" But before they could move, Mark raised his hand, pointing directly at Ethan. "Make your choice, empire or family. You can't have both." Ethan's heart raced, his mind spinning, the drone whirred, ready to pounce, and the crowd was a sea of terrified faces. There was no way forward, no way back. The tension suddenly broke. A loud crash, a figure burst through the crowd. It was Maya, desperate and fierce. "Get away from him!" she screamed, lashing out at Mark. "You're manipulating everyone!" Ethan felt a flicker of hope. "Maya!" he shouted. "You're here!" "I came to help!" she yelled, storming past him with determination. "Together, we can take them down!" Mark's expression turned from smug satisfaction to rage. "You think you can stand against me? You've all been pawns in my game." Then, against the chaos, Ethan felt clarity seep through. He turned to the Enigma. "We need to fight back together. We can expose the truth." With a determined nod, the Enigma stepped forward, eyes blazing. "Let's dismantle this facade." Ethan could feel the crowd's energy shift. People began shouting, joining Maya's call. Everyone was tired of the lies, tired of being used. "Enough," they cried, voices rising in a storm of unity. The drone buzzed, surveying the uprising, but the power of camaraderie strengthened them. Together, Ethan, the Enigma, and Maya pushed toward Mark, forcing him to retreat step by step. "You can't erase the truth!" Maya shouted, each word laced with conviction. "You've harmed us for too long." Mark faltered, sensing the shift in power. But his smirk returned. "You really think this will end well for you?" Before Ethan could respond, the walls shook. An explosion outside rattled the foundation, and debris fell, scattering the crowd. Panic surged again, but Ethan held firm. "No, we won't let fear win!" Then, out of the shadows, a group of protesters, faces painted, signs raised, surged forward, joining them in solidarity. The barrier between them and the drones began to crack. The tide turned. Ethan looked at Juliet, who now bore a mask of uncertainty. "You thought you could control everything, didn't you?" he called out, voice echoing through the chaos. "Now it's time for the truth to break free." The commotion escalated, the crowd rallying together under a common purpose. Drones whirred overhead, but the combined force of humanity pushed them back. In a final surge, Ethan reached Mark. "No more hiding. Time to face the consequences." Mark's bravado wavered. "You don't know who you're dealing with? I'll destroy everything you've built." "We're done with your game," Ethan stated, gaze unwavering. "Playtime is over," Maya added, stepping beside Ethan. With one last push, they moved. The tide of the crowd surged, breaking through Mark's defenses. And in that overwhelming moment, Ethan felt lighter, free. As the dust settled, the noise faded. Ethan turned to his sister, his heart racing. "We've got a lot to fix. Together." The struggle had forged unexpected alliances, tearing down walls he hadn't known existed between family and strangers. The future was uncertain, but with unity, they could rebuild. Together, they would forge a new path. But behind the shattered glass, the world outside remained burdened. Questions swirled. Would they be strong enough? Could they face the storm awaiting them? Ethan didn't have all the answers, but at that moment, he felt something shift, hope flickering through the darkness. And as they faced the uncertain horizon, one thing was clear: the fight had only just begun. Sitting at the edge of this story, you have to subscribe now to stay connected as we dive deeper into these unfolding tales. Don't wait even a second longer. Smash that like button to keep the algorithm alive. Flood the comment section below with your thoughts and theories. What happens next? And remember to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see how it all unfolds. Your support makes all the difference.